Okay, hello everybody, and welcome back to the TI4 qualifiers presented by Monster. Here at the North American Hub, we are about to jump ourselves into our winner bracket match. First match of the playoffs, it's going to be Arrow up against MVP. I'm Basekip, joining me is Fear, Fogged, and AC. Just about to get ourselves underway with this best of three. I think everybody predicted 2-0 for 2-0 for Arrow.
Yes.
So with that said, anybody have any final thoughts before we jump ourselves into this game?
No, not really. Everything I said was like,
Yeah, not
I'm
really, I
still
feel
with
like-
it, so.
Yep. I think we're all
Okay.
on board. We expect a very, very close series, but we do expect it to be an eventual 2-0 for Arrow. But, again, big coin flip opportunity for MVP if they want to go pocket strats or something like that.
Yeah, for
Right.
sure.
Well, I think we're about ready to get into the game, guys. Once again, welcome into the North American Hub coverage of the International 4 qualifiers. We're in the SEA region, and right now we're in the upper bracket finals. MVP Phoenix taking on Arrow Gaming. All of this presented by Monster Energy. I'm AC, joined by my good friend Fogged, and well, you've got a little experience with the qualies, right? So I want you
Absolutely,
to,
man.
while we can see the draft and we'll break that down, but very quickly, I want you to talk to me about what it's like for these players right now. They've made it out of that group stage. The grind is over now. It's pure strategy and pure execution. What's going through these players' minds right now?
Just absolutely playing the best that they possibly can. Not worrying about what the other team is. I mean, you worry about certain players on their team, but not overall on their entire draft. You really want to focus more on your own draft and making sure you have the best draft that you guys can play possible, but not really being like, oh, they're going to get this, so we have to pick this to counteract it, blah, blah, blah. You don't really want to have to counteract anything. You really want to just pick in your own favor and play your game and then force them to make movements.
Take
and
charge.
do everything. Yeah, absolutely. Take charge in the game. And we do see MVP jumping in and grabbing 2 trees right away. They grab the tree and protector first pick, which Arrow Gaming counter picks with a Wraith King Darkseer, which is a very good counter pick versus the tree, because Darkseer, of course, burns that tree armor very quickly. Wraith King as well. The stun burns 3 charges of the tree armor instantly, as well as Wraith King is just an extremely strong support and a carry, which we've seen multiple times. And MVP also ends up drafting a Phoenix or a Nature Prophet right after that.
I actually really hope that Arrow's going to run that Wraith King as a support. I really feel like the hero shines much more there, but he and Tree are kind of alike in the sense that they're excellent roamers. They can be very good in lane, but they tend to give you a lot or nothing at all. They're not kind of heroes that it's like, oh, they had a bad laning phase, but they bounce back and they're midland in the mid game. Usually, they have to at least be semi-effective early on, and it can be tough to do that, especially when you're up against the ganking potential that MVP has with the Tree and the Nature's Prophet as well. Just want to point out as well the respect bans that we already see.
Oh, yeah.
MVP Phoenix taking out DDZ's Tinker as well as his Invoker, and on the side of Arrow, getting rid of that Ember Spirit we talked about.
Absolutely. And Arrow also is getting rid of the Death Prophet and Pugna. They don't want MVP to try to do any type of cheese pushing at all. So they do ban out that Pugna and that Death Prophet because, I mean, Tree, Nature's Prophet, Pugna, and Death Prophet together is unbelievably powerful.
I'm not sure what's going on, but there.
We're having a little bit of problems, but it's okay. It's not a problem at all.
Okay, internal conflicts apparently. That was hilarious. No one seemed to notice it. I'm watching my screen and I see Fear playing with his phone. It's like zoomed in on him for like 20 seconds before, and I'm motioning and everything, but no one looking. And yeah, it's Fire Conrad and of course Fire K-pop Toast. Well done, gentlemen. And there we are. We got a draft screen at least for the moment.
But either way, getting back to the draft, more importantly, of course, is just looking at, which you've pointed out many times, of course, if Wraith King does not have a great early game, he starts to fall off if he's a support hero, because you need to just start to do things and just start to snowball as your lineup. Get a couple towers down, get some more farm on your other heroes, because Wraith King, of course, he has the stun. He has, of course, they've buffed him multiple times in the recent patches. His stun, he has more int, so he can throw more stuns in the early game, so he can get some good kill potential, and of course he can zone off lanes very easily on his own. And yeah, I mean, Arrow Gaming so far, their draft is very, very strong so far, just mostly pertaining to the tree. They don't BP Phoenix to have an easy type of pushing lineup. We do see them banning out the Death Prophet and Pugna, which I was saying before, because Death Prophet, Pugna, Tree, and Nature's Prophet together is
strong.
If they even start out with even decently in the beginning of the game, you can just end up losing because you end up losing all your tier 1 towers, you lose all your map control, and then you have to watch out for so many different things all over the map. Because MVP, of course, is dire on this, so they can really take Roshan's really easy if they had no heroes.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I'm right on board with you with Aero Gaming, not just with their bans, but with what they've picked. Imagine trying to run a guns forward kind of a push lineup against what you see in terms of initiation and counter initiation. AA ultimate, you're going to have Darkseer there with vacuum. Yeah. Wraith King can just run out if he's sufficiently leveled. If he gets something like a blink dagger, depending on how he wants to build, of course, he can just run out and face tank their team as an ice blast is on the way and go, yeah, kill me, I dare you.
Yeah.
And everyone will get vacuumed back, and it'll be tough. Phoenix though, and I think we were kind of on the money talking about cheese and what this I actually hate that term a lot. I would call it more one-dimensional, very easy to execute, somewhat hard to stop, but if you're stopped, you basically are destroyed kind of lineups.
Yeah.
And they're going to go ahead and add to that now with a Lycan. They want towers and they want to win quickly.
Yeah, it's a very snowball heavy lineup. If they end up having a decent early game, it can really just pressure Aero Gaming so hard because they do have the opportunity to go for those Roshans at any time. And Rubik is he's a good hero, but he's really fallen off in the previous patches, especially because he can't really lane. He needs his levels. He needs to have a decent start, because otherwise he really starts falling off. Of course, he has some great spells to steal, especially because now Aero Gaming picks up this Weaver. But Rubik was picked before that, so it's not really, too much an factor. But Rubik stealing Hellfire Blast, or Wraithfire Blast, is incredible, because that's an 8-second stun with a 3-second tapering slow after that. So it's basically, it has a, it's like a 25% uptime, so you can just keep spamming that spell over and over with the Rubik, plus with your lift and your nuke. Rubik ends up being very powerful with that. But at the same time, Arrow doesn't seem to be really worried about the pushes at this point. They haven't really picked any heroes that can spam out the waves. They've picked just, stuff that they're used to. It looks like they might potentially go for an aggressive tri-lane with this AA, Wraith King, and Weaver combo, because those three together, of course, we've seen in the past, AA plus Weaver, the chilling touch in Weaver Shikuchi is just, the Gemini attack is just insane, because you get that double attack, you get the double proc on that chilling touch, and it just kills someone almost instantly. And it looks like they know what MVP Phoenix wants to do. They want to farm up that Lycan, and they're going to put pressure on him so he cannot have a good start.
Oh yeah, and that's one of the big weaknesses of Lycan. I mean, right now you look at their lanes, and it seems pretty straightforward, although they could end up switching it up now. That Nyx Assassin, a little bit of a curveball, was going to say it looked like Lycan was going to end up being a safe lane hero that's protected by the tree and the Rubik, Nature's Prophet in the off lane, and looking for a mid. I think right now, it's so tough to gauge, because Lycan can be laned mid effectively so long as the matchup is favorable. That's the big thing. But as of right now, Arrow, I don't think, has shown us who DDZ's hero is going to be. In fact, it looks like MVP's even of that mind, banning out the puck as well. What's a problematic mid that Arrow could pick right now if they wanted to try and anticipate a Lycan mid?
Honestly, a majority of ranged heroes just do very well versus Lycan, because you can just keep putting the pressure on them. So I wouldn't be surprised if they just pick a hard carry. I mean, I'm not too familiar with all of DZZ's heroes pool. I've been seeing him mostly playing this Invoker and Tinker, which he's absolutely amazing at. I mean, his Invoker was one of the... I know Fear was watching that game, and he was commentating, and he said it's one of the best Invokers, if not the best Invoker he's ever seen. So I wouldn't be surprised to see him play almost anything. They can really pressure anything. And MVP's lineup, overall, you can look at it and you're just like, how are they going to end up laning this? Okay, it's probably going to end up being this Lycan short lane with Rubik Tree protecting him, a Furin off lane, and a Nyx mid. And yeah, we do see Arrow go for this Razor. So, I mean, if Lycan's going to end up being mid, he's going to be so shut down by this Razor. Just a static link, and he's just going to be able to last it nothing. Of course, Howl does not get reduced by the static link, but it's really not too beneficial at that point, because you're just, it's only 20 damage at the early points. But we do see March playing that Lycan, so it's probably going to end up being that short lane Lycan, and it's probably going to be, I think, a Nyx mid.
Yeah, that would make the most sense. Honestly, it's sad. I can't even remember right off the top of my head which Phoenix player plays mid. But we'll find out one way or the other. They could end up swapping, so teams known to do the old switcheroo from time to time. The draft is complete, and Razor picked up now as the last pick for Arrow. And yeah, DDZ, like you said, we're used to seeing him on very high skill cap heroes. Invoker, your Tinker, and we even saw them ban the puck. I'm not sure if that was a blind ban, just assuming that he would be good at the puck, because that sounds like a hero he'd be good at. But yeah, he's going to be on the Razor this time. So yeah, I really want to see how they're going to lane it as well. And MVP certainly has the ability, if they get far ahead, and Arrow is not going to want to allow them any spaces, or have already smoked inside of their own base and will be heading down south to protect their own jungle. But MVP definitely has a lineup that can take advantage of small gains in the early game and just roll over them in the mid game. What's Arrow's game plan to make sure that doesn't happen?
I mean, first, I just want to point out, I'm a little confused by the reason why Arrow would really just go for smoking. I guess they're a little bit concerned with the fact that MVP might just go for a level 1 Roshan, so it looks like they're just going to smoke there instantly. But it's kind of just a waste of gold at this point, because MVP is not going for that at all. They're just doing these standard lanes. They're putting the Nyx middle. But Arrow so far, I think that they have it very much so outdrafted. They have a dual-core lineup with a Wraith King, which gives the lifesteal, of course, to the Weaver and the Razor, which people really overlook a lot of the times in these drafts. And MVP is just going to have to make a lot of space on this map because they only have all they have is their carry as a Lycan. And if he gets pressured, if Arrow decides to go for this aggressive tri-lane and just pressures that Lycan, MVP is going to, they're just really screwed unless they just move around because they can't farm against that. It's going to be so pressured. I mean, Rubik and Tree together are not bad, but compared to the tri-lane that Arrow has, it's nowhere in comparison.
Yep, I completely agree. And it looks like that is going to be the case. They have sent the Razor to mid, but more importantly, the Darkseer. Down at bottom, we're going to see Johnny actually find himself an invis, so this is going to give them some aggressive potential right out the gate. He'll take the long road around and on into the jungle, and we'll see if he's able to spot himself a target. That level 1 invis can just be crippling, and we'll see what he wants to do. Right now, it looks like he's just taking a peek around, but is going to end up being O-Try versus a defensive tri-lane. What's going to be key here for MVP to manage this?
They can't die in that tri-lane. They have to be so careful in it, and we don't see the Rubik. The Rubik actually got boots first, which is really interesting. I wanted to point out, of course, not the tree. We do usually see these trees going for these boots, and MVP is just under so much pressure. They can't step up in that lane. They can't save that Lycan if he gets gone on. He's just going to get super pressured by that Chilling Touch, and right now they don't see the Wraith King anywhere, so they have to be super careful. And we do see MVP going for this bottom ward, so they're going to be scouting out for their Furion so that he can see in case anybody's bottom, but there's no one down there. So that ward, all it does is really give this rune vision, and then they also have a lane ward blocking their big pull. So they can't even do any pulls into connecting pulls, and the pulls don't even work because at the same time Arrow warded their pull. So they're just unable to do anything, and they're not going to be able to get good levels on MVP's side. So they're going to be completely zoned. Arrow's going to be completely free farming in that lane, and I just see it completely going for Arrow in this favor because Darkseer in the short lane is going to have a great time versus Furion. They should both be able to farm perfectly fine.
Right.
But Darkseer can inevitably farm more because he can just run to the jungle really quickly, stack some camps up, and even though Furion's going to get farmed, he can just run in there and do stack camps with it. And mid lane is going to be an absolute disaster for the Nyx because as a melee especially, you can't do anything for Razor versus Razor. I mean, Razor overall is just... He's amazing versus almost any hero. We just don't see many people pick it because he's so immobile.
Yeah, well, he's one of those heroes that you pick specifically in a situation like this.
Absolutely.
Where you know almost assuredly that even if they have options in terms of switching mid, you know that you're going to dominate them both. You know it's not going to be a problem whatsoever. So at 2 minutes in, things going about as we would expect. It's roughly a break even between the Darkseer and the Nature's Prophet at bottom. And we can see the Nyx Assassin being bullied around quite a bit here in mid. DDZ playing so aggressive. And way up in front of MVP's top tier 1. The Lycan struggling as anticipated as well. He's sitting at just 2 CS in the face. Hang on, we're going to see Ryson caught out. There's going to be the Chilling Touch. The stun was there, the slow's there, and Furion was looking to come, but doesn't matter as they draw first blood. And Arrow living up to their billing and getting this game under their control quickly.
Yeah, and that's like I'm saying, that's the problem with the Trine. They can't step up. Even though Rubik has boots, he's so squishy. If he even, and he had decided to go Fade Bolt level 1, which is really strange. I thought he'd end up going for the lift because that's usually what you see everybody do. But I guess he was just trying to play it passive, nuke them down, try to get a little bit, secure some last hits for the Lycan. But as we're seeing right now, March has 2 last hits compared to the Weaver's 15 and 4. So right now, this is just completely dominating for Arrow. They're blocking their pull, they're getting levels on their supports, while MVP is getting little to nothing. The tree is trying to look around, trying to walk around, trying to get his levels, but he had to go armor first and instead of getting Leech Seed, which we usually do see. And the same thing in middle lane. We see the Razor just super pressuring that Nyx, but the Nyx is doing incredibly well under that factor anyway. He's 7 and 3, even though the Razor's 11 and 8. I was expecting that Nyx to be doing a lot worse.
I would imagine it will get worse as time goes on, though.
Absolutely.
Not to take anything away, of course, but it's just one of those matchups that exponentially gets worse and worse and worse as levels come up on a hero like Razor, who can just bully you around as much as we've been seeing. The Prophet is doing okay-ish. He's the only one really in range now from MVP. Obviously, the status quo is not something they can afford to maintain at this point. I mean, just look how badly that Nyx is getting battered and bruised there from nothing. But Static Link up at top. March in a lot of trouble, being helped out by the Tree Armor. They will manage to bring down the Ancient Apparition, but they're going to lose March in exchange for it. Johnny, though, could be in trouble as the Nature's Prophet has joined in the fight. He's going to turn and throw out a stun. He will end up dying behind the fight, but Phoenix looking to get some work done. A Sprout on...
that was a beautiful Sprout. Yep. Blocked the Weaver from running away. They might actually get the kill on him here if they get a couple more right clicks on him, but he's got to get the Sakuchi. See, that's only because of the farm that he has, though. He was able to buy those treads because the 2 kills he got, so he was able to tread swap, walk away, and just be safe in that. But the Furion port there, although they do gain a couple kills, and we do see the Razor pressuring the Nyx Assassin, but he does end up getting an Invis and he's okay. But this tri-lane top is the one to watch, really. I mean, there's going to be a lot of action up here. As long as the Furion keeps porting up there, they do have a shot of contesting this tri-lane. But that gives the Darkseer complete free farm and able to pressure that bottom tower. And we do see MVP already reacting, and they put March bottom right away. Because they know he's getting absolutely nothing up there versus that tri-lane.
Still going to be a tough lane. You're talking a melee hero versus the Darkseer. He is going to have the wolves, so the wolves will help.
Darkseer, a lot of people have been looking at it, and Darkseer is an amazing hero versus Lycan. He puts so much pressure early. Of course, the wolves at level 7 start taking reduced damage, and they have the regen, but it's just not enough. And we do see Furion port top again, so he's just going to be staying up there the whole time and trying to save that top lane.
Well, they're going to have at least a little bit of range now to try and last hit with, so do feel like that's actually about as good a move as MVP could have made, especially given the way that they were able to kind of get things back to a reasonable range. At 5 minutes, we're at 2 kills apiece, and now they have a chance to maybe turn this lane around, especially whenever you're talking about the Treants coming out. Just got to make sure they don't do what they're doing right now, which is feeding them for free gold and little harass. Howl, of course, does help them as well. So, yeah, I mean, the ports from the Furion, obviously the big factor. But now with the lanes reset the way they are, which team do you think's under the most pressure? Seems like Arrow's still going to want to dominate, not just mid, but elsewhere as well. And DDZ's actually going to get the courier here. Total miss micro from QO, and he had so much damage stolen that it was very, very simple for him to bring him down with just a couple of cracks of the whip. And I didn't actually see if the courier had anything on it, but still a huge, huge step forward. And now the Rubik going to be dove near his own tier 1. Weaver rushing past the Sprout. The damage should be there quite easily. Lance securing a kill, but here comes March. And now Phoenix losing the Treant Protector as well. March coming back out to try and get some return damage. Lance, does he have enough mana for Shukuchi? No, he doesn't. He's actually short, so he's going to have to hoof it the hard way. Does have a set of treads up. Now he's going to turn around and actually do a little right click, but finally has enough for the Shukuchi and does manage to double back and around to his own teammate. So another big win for Arrow as they not only get the courier, but they do snag a couple of kills in the process, make it 4-2.
And even though it's super early in the game, you don't really ever want to look at the gold graph at this point, but looking at it already, it's almost 4,000.
Not a tower down. Not a tower down.
No towers down at all. The courier kill, of course, is massive because it gives 175 gold to almost every single hero on the map for Arrow. But the Darkseer is getting absolute free farm. He's pressuring the tower because the Lycan was forced to port up there, trying to get some kills, and he gained nothing at it. We do see Lance gone on top, and they do end up getting a kill on him, which is very, very good, which is they desperately, desperately need. And it gets the Fear on his level 6. It gets Rubik a couple levels too. He bought a Dust there for that, so he's got his level 5. So Rubik is very over-leveled at this point. But looking at the creep score, Darkseer, Razor, and Weaver are by far the top 3, and then it's 3 of the MVP top farmers, the core heroes on MVP. So it's completely looking in Arrow's favor at this point, like we were really predicting at the point before this.
Yep. Well, I mean, this is kind of like you said, the prediction, and even down to the draft, going very one-dimensional and just hoping that they manage to get a snowball win. But it is a pretty tough situation whenever you add your Furion and your Nyx Assassin's last hits and they don't equal up to the Darkseer. That Darkseer is going to have a mech really quickly. He's well on the way to it. Lance is now in mid. He's giving some harassment to QO. That'll proc the Carapace. He'll take a couple more auto attacks as he rushes uphill, so he'll make it that safe. But now that top lane is left completely unfettered as well, and we see all of that pressure the Darkseer is putting on. This map is beginning to collapse now for MVP. What's the right call? How do you try to get this together?
They have to try to defend their towers, but the problem is that Arrow is going to end up, they're going to get this mech on the Darkseer very, very soon. They have a bunch of other core items up on their heroes. The Weaver's already got treads, he's got his Bassy, he's got a stick, he's got a ring health, he's going to be going for that Lincoln's. AA is only level 4, so yeah, of course, the supports on Arrow are a bit under-leveled, but not even so much because they're an aggressive tri-lane. We see a level 5 Wraith King, we see a level 4 AA, we see the Weaver's already level 6, so I'm pretty sure that Arrow's going to end up, as soon as they get this mech up on this Darkseer, they're going to stick together and they're just going to pressure towers and take it down. And MVP can't react. Looking at their heroes, their 5-man is not the strongest at all.
Not at all. Well, and the thing is, you know, we were talking about it with the Wraith King, but it's very equally applicable to the Treant Protector. He's very much a hero that gives you a lot or he gives you just about nothing. Yes. And a big part of that is if you're able to bring down the tier 1s early, you don't allow living armor to get allow him to get a few points in it to keep those tier 1s standing inordinately long. You get that infusion of gold that allows you to get out items like the mech, which we can already see is already done. Other items to come out on support heroes like a Blink on the Wraith King or whatever else you want to put together. But that's all aside, as you said, they just don't team fight well. They have overgrowth and an impale, maybe if it catches a couple. A lot of these things are...
It's just not enough, though, either way, no matter what. Right. And we do see March, he doesn't even go for his max wolf boost, he's maxing Howl. So that's... He doesn't even have invisible wolves. His wolves are basically absolutely they're actually worthless. They're free gold at this point. And the Howl is really trying to making up for the damage that they lack in their tri-lane and everything, but it's just really not going to do anything at this point when Arrow already has so much farm on all their heroes. And yeah, we do see the mech flying all the way out to that Darkseer already. So I'm pretty sure we're going to see them either 5-man very, very soon, if not just try to split push and take 2 towers at the same time, because they're not feeling any pressure.
Yep. Honestly, I think they're just going to try to make something happen down here with DDZ.
And it looks like QO actually gets a haste rune. He's Vendettaing bottom. Let's see if he's going to go for this courier snap. He might actually get it here. Yeah, he's going to. Oh, the Furion's going to get it instead. They don't want to. Oh! Yeah, he's got it. Good sprout there. They didn't want to waste the Vendetta for that, and that's a really smart play. And they do Furion ulti to try to push out the guy's bottom, but look at them diving this.
Yep.
They're not scared. They're not afraid at all.
Nope, they've got a mech. That's going to prompt some TPs, though. Here we go. Rubik's there, walls down as well. They're going to try to sap some more damage from him. And yeah, like, March can't come in at all. So Rice is going to end up dead for sure. DDZ hanging very low health, but still able to hang and bang. And just look at the damage he has. Good sprout. But they can't even engage. Like, they can't get
2 versus 4 right there.
It's because of the ultimate and just how much damage he's doing. Well shot, Impale. That'll lock down DDZ. Do they have enough damage to bring him down? Leech Seed going to slow him down, but they lose the tree. They're going to lose QO as well. March now in trouble as Johnny shows up and helps to clean house along with the Darkseer. 3-for-1 exchange. And this is already looking very, very bad. Up at top, the Weaver is also split pushing the tier 1. So the entire map beginning to collapse around MVP's ears.
Yeah, AA was just farming mid. He's like, you know what? I have no worry. I don't have to go over there. There's no point in me running over there. Look where they're diving, and they're doing fine over there.
Yep.
The Wraith King ran over there. He got a kill, and now he's level 7. He's got 1,000 gold on him as well. He's got his reincarnation, of course. And he's going to be... Yeah, he's got treads on this support Wraith King with an aggressive tri-lane in already 10 minutes. Looking at the heroes on MVP, the 2 support heroes there, you have Naked Boots on both of them. The Rubik is getting very close to his Arcane Boots. He does get his 6, which is very good. And Tree, yeah, he's just bought a lot of wards, so he's going to try to board up the map, but... They're going to start losing towers very, very soon because this Tree, he has to armor the towers, but then that means his heroes on the map are at risk of being dove.
March doing everything he can to try and find some help up at top or just find some farmer, anything. We actually see Cold Feet stolen by Rubik, so love that handy-dandy pop-in. Such a nice change. At bottom, that tier 1's not even going to be contested. They're going to take it for sure. In mid, they're going to try to counter-push, though, and the tier 1 there for sure will drop, but that's a very healthy tower, so they'll have more than enough time to come back and force MVP back. Hell, they can't even stand against the tower right now.
Yeah, and Arrow doesn't even really look too worried about MVP pushing a tower because they're so under-leveled and under-farmed at all their heroes. They just, you know, Darkseer just ports in the front. He's like, hey, what's up? Bring it on.
Something we didn't even really talk about is the fact that, you know, Weaver's now sufficiently
right now.
farmed.
March might get dove.
Yeah, I was going to say, are they going to go?
He's still got his ulti farm up. He's too risky with the tree armor.
Well, that's exactly what I was actually going to point out. Hang on, AA Ultimate's going to be there, and on the mark, QO down again. And Johnny is level 8. That's a level 8 support Wraith King, so he's certainly having an excellent early game.
Yeah, he's the same level as the solo mid on MVP.
That is ridiculous, actually.
Absolutely.
But Weaver at this point, he's got enough items up that he is just going to be that elusive, hard to gank split pusher. But the other 4 standing for Arrow, hold that thought, as Heen is caught by Johnny. He has the Ion Shell on as well. There's the vacuum, and they're going to clean him up with nothing but AoE. But this is actually proving the point I was going to make. The 4 outside of Weaver, just the Wraith King, the Darkseer, the Ancient Apparition, the Razor, they don't need Weaver.
No,
Weaver can just go farm. It's fine.
Yeah, he's just going to go pressure lane. He's going to go pressure lane on his own. He's like, you know what? You guys go do your own thing. I'm doing perfectly fine. MVP has a lift and a Nick stun.
Yep, and an Impale.
At this point, like, he's already tanky enough to be able to survive that. If he's just has a strength charge, he's got his ultimate orb and a ring of health already, so he's just pressuring the tower, and he's going to end up getting it here.
Yep, and Lance doesn't even care. Yep, just going to time-lapse. Tower might get denied, so a very, very marginal win for them. At bottom, we can actually see how easily they're dealing with the Nature's Prophet. Make no mistake, Treants with Howl on them, especially when he's maxed it, are very, very efficient at bringing down towers. But you have a Darkseer who doesn't care who has a mech. He'll just vacuum them in, Ion Shell them down, and yes, you'll get some damage done, but the whole time that's going on, the rest of your team's losing elsewhere. Now we'll have a lift on the Johnny. A Ultimate will be shot. Going to hit nothing but a little bit of woods in the meantime.
Really good lift by Ryzen there. He would have died if he got Hellfire blasted, or Wraithfire blasted, absolutely. And we do see they don't even go for that tower tonight. They're like, you know what? We're confident that Tree can heal it up and we can maybe try to defend it. But it's going to be really hard because that's one of those... The tier 1 towers are very hard to defend. We do see that ward coming out of MVP up on that top lane. They're just trying to get vision. They really want to defend that top tier 1 tower.
Oh, yeah. Well, they know, like, they just can't afford to give up too many more. Like, they already lost bottom. They're going to try to take a big fight here. What did he get? He got Shikuchi, so good still there for Rubik. But
I just don't see how they can defend this tower, though.
March is honestly playing pretty bravely standing where he is at the moment. Yeah, and there's the stun to come out. And we're going to end up having the AA Blast as well. Ice Blast catches March on the way out. Don't think he's going to end up shattering, but it doesn't matter. The damage is so immense coming out of the other 4 from Arrow. Heen can do nothing but nature's guys to safety. They're going to try to reinitiate. However, Johnny up off of his ultimate, slows down QO as he tried to come in and get some damage done. Instead, feeds another death. Make it 12-4. And when you see the Treant Protector still hiding, and they know he's
spotted him.
Yep. Not sure how he got eyes on him, but definitely did get a look at him. And
he thinks he blocked him in, but he actually didn't end up getting it there.
Yep.
So they're going to waste a little bit of time up there. But the Darkseer also, during that team fight, he has a Blink Dagger. And looking at the net worth, it's insane already.
Yeah.
At the 14-minute mark, you really don't see
doubling
this.
them.
You never see this happen in a lot of games. Like, almost never.
Yep. This is very close to that mark that I'd say I see it as a professional caster at most once a month during busy months, but even then it's still very rare. 1,000 gold per minute lead generated is roughly where they are at the moment.
And that's terrifying. I mean, at this point, if you're in MVP shoes, I think what I would, if I was on that team, I'd be like, all right, guys, let's smoke up and go to Roche. We got to try the Roshan. Like, at least they're not running down there. They're running at our top lane constantly. So you know what? Let's bring the pressure somewhere else. At least try to do something, because this is already getting absolutely devastating. Because Nyx, he went top, he did his Vendetta, but he killed the Wraith King, so he just popped the ult and ended up dying for that. So it just was a completely negative factor there.
I'm on board with you. I mean, we can see the Lycan still very short of his Vladimir's, and why not just take that gold that you've invested in that, buy a medallion, go in there with Nature's Prophet, and take your best shot, man. Like, you may as well.
We know. Like I was saying before, we know what Arrow's strategy is going to be. They're going to go together, either 3-4 heroes, and they're just going to push towers down. And there's nothing MVP can really respond with. We see a 15-minute aggressive tri-lane Linken's coming out on the Weaver. That's just insane.
Absurd.
He's got 102 CS on that Weaver at 15 minutes. That's just absurd. It's about 7 CS a minute.
This
you really do not see coming out, even out of short lane farmers.
Oh. And we can see Heen taking some more damage up at top. He might die. Yeah, he will. Dies in the plasma field, so DDZ.
And mid's getting gone on as well, and we do see Johnny get a good stun off. His ult's down, but he might go down. But no, he does not even going to go down. They're going to get both kills on both of them there. Wow. They killed the mid solo and the support there, so huge right there for Arrow. Again, they just got 3 for 0.
At what point, and I don't mean this... You know, I don't mean this snarkily, it's just an honest question. Like, this game is so completely out of control. You have a one-dimensional lineup that really doesn't have a comeback mechanic in it. I guess you could sit back and say, yeah, we can split push. I don't know how, but, you know, they're just so far ahead at the moment.
I think pretty soon you start questioning that GG, thinking about the next game, because it's demoralizing.
Right, exactly.
It really is.
I'm not a professional player, but staying in a game and losing a game for 40 minutes or so, or even just 20 or 30, that has to wear on you psychologically.
And especially when you know, the Furion just tried to sprout the Weaver, and he's like, oh my god, he has a Linken's. Like, oh god, this is what we're dealing with already at this point? Oh man.
Just about made me choke on my monster. Oh god. Just the thought of that going through the player's mind.
It's true, it's terrifying. And we do see March actually picking up the Vlad, so he's starting to recover a little bit, but they can't defend this middle tower at all. They're going to start losing complete map control, and the Weaver is already ludicrously farmed, and Razor as well. We haven't even really talked about as much. He went for Treads, Drum, Bottle, and he's got 4,000 gold after this tower goes down.
They're going to try to make something happen. They've got Nyx under Vendetta. He's poking his nose around. Looks like Arrow is just going to flat out. They're just burning him down. And, yep, there's that Linken's. Sorry, Rube.
And that's just... As a Rubik, once a Weaver gets Linken's, especially if it's this early, you're just dead.
Yep.
You're just like, oh, I reacted, but I'm dead no matter what I can do.
It's like a bottom. Like, March trying like hell. Just look how quick he's going to die. They're going to get him probably... No.
Close.
Thought maybe.
But MVP does get their first tower. Yep. They do get that bottom safe lane tower. So the Furion is not doing too poorly. He's going to have his book 2 pretty soon. So he's going to be able to split push a bit, but now we do see Arrow, instead of MVP, going into that Roche pit, and they're going to get that Roche for free. I don't think there's anything MVP can do to really contest that, unless they get like a 4-man or 5-man impale with a giant Furion ulti, and like, everything has to land perfectly for them, because now Wraith King's ultimate's going to be up again. Very, very soon.
Well, he's almost level 11, so it's going to be getting shorter. Like, he's already level 10.
And he bought his Blink Dagger, but it's at base, so fair enough. And they do end up deciding, you know what, it's not worth the risk. We're so far ahead, we don't have to go for that Roshan. They got it to half health. They can just wait. If they get a pick off, that's a free Roshan for them. Yep,
double damage rune hanging out there for them as well. What did Rubik get? Managed to get the static link.
Not too bad. Plasma field.
Oh, plasma field, yeah.
Oh, we do see QO. I don't know what he was doing actually with that Vendetta, but he does end up getting picked off.
There's the pick. And let's see if that's going to make them want to go in.
Yep, absolutely. For sure. Especially if that hero is dead. They did have the Sentry Ward down, so I guess QO just ran into it and he just got stunned right away.
Yep. Roche going to end up dropping DDZ. Not even going to hang around to
they don't want to lose anything here. DDZ's like, you know what, you guys got that Roche without me. I'm going to go defend this top tower. I want to lose nothing. And DDZ bought a full SNY in one
shot. And I guess if there is a bright spot here, Prophet did go Midas, had it up at a fair enough time. Certainly not great given the way the laning phase went, but okay-ish. And he's now got a book too, so his ability to push, especially with How with 3 points, and he actually didn't end up maxing it. It looked like he was going to, but I ended up focusing instead on the Wolves for a while. That's going to be enough to... Jeez, just look at the damage he takes, though. But yeah, like, it's going to be enough to allow them to do this. Like, this is a fair amount of pressure, and they're getting a fair amount of damage done, so, you know, maybe this is it. Maybe they can just do this for the next half an hour.
The problem is just that Arrow even has aggressive wards inside of MVP's jungle. Yeah, they're going to expire soon, but they do see everything that MVP's trying to do, and... Look at the way Arrow's playing. They're like, we have no pressure on us whatsoever. We are perfectly fine with this. We're going to farm. Our Darkseer's got Blink, Mech, a Plate Mail, and another 900 gold on him, plus a Soul Ring and Arcane Boots on top of all of that. So that Darkseer is absolutely enormous, and it's 14,000 gold lead right now in the favor of Arrow. So MVP just has a really tough time. They have to find some beautiful pickoffs, which is going to be really difficult because even if they go for this Razor, I don't think they can kill him.
Yeah, I don't either, actually. Not with those heroes.
He's got 1,700 health, and he's... 460 movement speed without even popping the drum charge, and he's got bottle charges as well, plus the magic stick. So it's gonna be. I just don't really see what MVP can really do. And look at DDZ. Yeah. This is just the way that I was saying when we were doing the before the draft even started. The way that he plays, he knows what he can do. He knows the limits that he can push. If he dies sometimes, it ends up happening, but he knows. It doesn't matter. He's making so much space on that. We do see, Lance tried to go on the tree down there, but he just invis right away. So.
There's a reaction coming. Looks like they might try to take a shot at him, but again, he has a Lincoln's and an Aegis, so at best they get the Aegis, but even that's a little wishful thinking. Yeah. 3 heroes converging. Looked like he wanted to sprout it, and...
There's no way that they can kill him. They have no lockdown on their team. They need it.
And look at top in the meantime. They're literally zoning them off of their tier 2, cutting creeps behind there. And there's nothing MVP can do. They have a lineup that, because they're so far behind, has to split push instead of just push in. And yeah, the split push isn't really an option at the moment.
And yeah, I mean, a lot of teams, when they're starting to not do so hot with Lycan, they do end up sending they spawn the wolves and they send them on supports. Because, you know, of course, it's invisible, so if you just follow the supports, you're able to see the action that they're trying to do. We do see some action. Maybe we do see March maybe trying to get engaged on here. He might go down, but looks like he's okay.
No, I think, yeah, it's going to be close.
Nope. Yeah, he's all right.
Yeah, he's fine.
Should be all right.
Yep, a little tankier than I thought.
Yeah, absolutely, but...
Oh,
I just lost my train of thought.
Lance engaged on at bottom as his Lincoln's popped. It's a little bit of damage. Time lapses every bit of it, so.
Buys a full Desolator on the courier, too.
Yep, because he can.
One of the most terrifying things as support is fighting against a Weaver when he has a Lincoln's Desolator. And if he has a... Oh, gave him the TP by accident, but a Lincoln's Desolator at 21 minutes, it's terrifying, because no matter... You're going to get two-shotted. Like, he might even go for this Nyx Assassin. If the Nyx Assassin doesn't respond quickly with his Carapace, he might even die. Let's see what ends up happening.
And looks like, there's a courier snipe, and QO going to be pursued, and he will die. Just about. Nope, hang on, Tree Armor's there. March coming in to help. Now Lance doesn't have time lapse. He's going to run, and should be able to make it away.
No fear.
Yep, he's good.
Yeah, he's doing... that's some insane farm, honestly. He does have some Treants killed, of course, and some Wolves, but 166 CS at the 22-minute mark. Yeah. Whatever, it's just an Aegis. Like, I don't think he really minds too much of it, but he has to be careful. He might actually be able to go down again here if they do get some good lockdown.
Has time lapse ready. If he needs it, he's going to have to... Nope. Well played that time. So.
Cocky play. Yeah. Very, very cocky there by Lance. His team's nowhere around there, but you know what? I don't think they really care about that too much. And we do see something smart I was going to point out as well. That's what I was trying to think about. Was AA decided, you know what? I don't need items this game at this point already. Our Wraith King already has Blink Dagger and everything, so I'm just going to buy a gem. Because you don't want these wolves following you around, seeing what your supports are doing, what everything's happening. You want to take down the map control. You want to control the full game. And that's a really smart move. And this Wraith King's enormous, too. He's got treads, Blink, and 2,000 gold.
Wraith King is just about as farmed as the Lycan.
Yeah,
like that's how far ahead he is at the moment. Like you said, 2,000 gold on top of having pretty much everything a Wraith King would want. Not just for this stage of the game, but honestly good enough for most stages of the game. He will end up eating some damage here. A ultimate will be shot. Ice Blast. Not going to be on the mark. And Johnny, using his wand charges, will go ahead and exit to see if he can buy some time. We'll go ahead and engage, and March is split pushing, but there was a stun on the QO. Johnny's right there in front. We'll have his ulti popped, and guess what? They're not going anywhere. Nyx Assassin drops, and now he next on the list. As DDZ is on a dominating streak, and could not say it better myself, Mega Kill Announcer. He is dominating, and has dominated this entire qualifier. They even get the Rubik, and a double kill now for him. And looks like, this potentially could be a tier 3.
Yeah. I think that they should really just call the GG. It's really demoralizing. It's 20-5 right at this point. Rubik's gonna buy out. You know what? It's the qualifiers. They're really just gonna put everything into it. But we do. Arrow is gonna have almost double the net worth.
Scepter.
Of MVP.
Scepter's gonna be done plus a little bit more for DZ. March. Oh,
Wow,
good
beautiful.
Oh, what a play! You know, that's the thing. Sadly for us and for the spectators anyway. Arrow's been so far ahead for so long, we haven't even seen the potential for that many big plays because they haven't had 5-man. They've been able to just split up and make things happen in small packs. But right there, we saw the team fight potential we knew they had. QO once again engaged upon by Johnny. DDZ comes in, does a bit of damage, but the carapace enough to buy him some time to retreat. The racks being banged down, and look at Lance going to work now on the Tier 2 bottom. This will be the last outer tier tower remaining for MVP. He's going to come in and get off the overgrowth, so Lance stopped in his tracks. His Lincoln ends up eating the leech seed, but they might get him anyway, and if they do, it'll be a nice pick. Ultimate's there, and here comes the rest of the troops as Arrow now looking to re-engage, and QO, poor guy, dead again. Came very close to being able to bring down Lance, but regenning up off of that earn charge, and Heen, buddy, just go home, dude. Go home.
But you can just see Arrow just they want to give up nothing in this game. I mean, Lance did play very, very cocky bottom. He lost that Aegis and died for himself, and we do see them engaging on the tree bottom, so he's probably going to end up dying because Wraith King's Blink's going to be up pretty soon. And he's not fast enough to run away from that.
Yep, they got
Goodbye,
you.
Heen.
Yep. Should've gone to the house, dude.
Condolences.
Nothing good for you out there.
But Arrow is just... Although they're so far ahead, they're still not playing cocky. I mean, Lance played very cocky, like I was saying before, but they're porting and defending all of their towers as best that they can. And we do see Darkseer picking up a Shivas now at this point. So, yes, the amount of farm on Arrow is just absolutely insane. And we do see... wow. Yeah.
Yeah, that happened.
Being a Rubik versus a... Like I was saying, being a Rubik versus a Weaver with this farm is the most depressing thing in the world, because you just get two-shotted. And you're just like, what do I do? He's got Lincolns, I can't even... If I nuke him and I lift him, maybe I get it. But then he just runs at me anyway.
Yep. Last tower drops that's on the outer tier, and the mid-rack's already missing.
He's going for that courier.
Yep. Courier's hustling, though. QO there to run some interference in case he needed to, but yeah, at this point, looks like Arrow just about ready to put a cherry on it. Another push should be just about enough to end it, and hard to imagine what MVP can possibly draw upon to keep this game going. I mean, the Wraith King is within striking distance of your highest farmed carry right now, or highest farmed core in the Nature's Prophet. Everyone else is less farmed than everyone on the side of Arrow right now. Literally,
we
your
do see
entire
March
team.
picking up a BKB though. He did get an item at least after that Vlad's. It's gonna. He really can't do much with it because BKB is a good item, but looking at the lineup of Arrow, what's that BKB really gonna do? I mean, AA Blast.
Static Link.
It goes
Pretty
through
good
it.
ability.
Static Link is amazing versus BKBs. On top of all that, you know, this Weaver is already so enormous. He's got his Dasso Lincolns, and he knows, I don't need more damage. I need survivability, so he buys this Weaver up, and now he's going to be a force to be reckoned with. They're not going to be able to kill him with 3 or 4 heroes unless they get a perfect initiation off on him.
And they're going to split push it. Lance now shoving in top by himself, while the rest of the team makes their way down bottom lane. And Lance sufficiently survivable, like you said, that Reaver just makes him such an impossible target to really deal with. And yeah, good attempt there, QO, but looks like your bottom racks are going to be the price paid.
And DDZ almost has a refreshers on that Razor as well as an Aghanim, so the buildings are going to absolutely melt, even though there's already a racks down. And yeah, personally, if I was in the hands of MVP, I'd probably GG very soon because you just don't want to keep playing a game like this. It's really demoralizing. They do pick off Johnny, though, because they did burn his mana, so he didn't get his ulti off, but they don't need him at this point. They really don't. Even though Darkseer's taking a ton of mana from that mana burn, it's just not enough. They're just running around them in circles.
Chasing down the last stragglers. We'll see Rubik die once again. Godlike streak is on for DDZ. March can't do much but run for the well. QO eating that damage. He's going to pop the BKB and re-engage, and does manage to bring down. Yeah. So they did manage to bring down the Razor. But Forev about the drop, and everyone else now ready to turn it around as not only does his ultimate wear off, but there we go. GG. Lance securing the final kill, the final nail in the coffin, as Arrow, as predicted, shows what could be their championship form and take a game 1 against MVP. MVP, one of the surprises of this qualifier, still coming in heavy underdogs and showing it here, 31-7 in a game that lasted just short of 28 minutes. Standout performer as well. Honestly, the whole team was a standout. I guess you could say Johnny's a feeder with 2 deaths, huh?
I guess so, but I mean, honestly, I just feel like Arrow had them so outdrafted, and the way they laned it as well, MVP just was under so much pressure. They weren't really able to do much. They had to just get so much out of the Sphere around, porting in and get kills, but at the same time, the Darkseer is going to get so much farm, and you could see how much he really was farmed. He had 556 gold per minute. He had his Blink, Shivas. He was on his way to his Hex, Mech, and Arcane Boots, so it was extremely difficult to MVP to get back into this game after the way the lanes were done.
Fear, base skip, thoughts? I mean, honestly, sometimes the game's just so lopsided, you just say, should have played better. Should have drafted better, something.
I mean, it was such a disaster just because of the draft and then the laning stage.
Yeah.
I mean, MVP didn't really have a single winning lane. Nyx Assassin versus Razor, not very good. The Nature's Prophet got a little bit of CS and got some fast phase boots down in the bottom lane, but he was trying to run around the entire map extinguishing fires, because of what was going on with the other 4 heroes on his team.
Yeah.
So.
That's like exactly extinguishing fire. Yeah, perfect. That's about like.
Yeah, I pretty much agree with that. They lost every single lane.
Yeah.
All 3 lanes were lost. And so for me, it's like I chalk this down to a lane lost. But going to the next game for MVP, I feel like they just need to focus on not taking so greedy lanes. Like putting Train Protector and Lycan in the same lane is extremely greedy.
Yeah.
They're both melee heroes. They don't really
Well, when you
accomplish that
know
much
the
in
aggressive
lane phase.
potential they had, too. It's like
Right.
you decide to do that when you know how dominant that lane could end up being.
Exactly. So again, that's the difference between like top teams and like kind of like tier 2 teams is
Right.
like knowing how greedy you can get. And MVP got way too greedy there, and they end up losing every single lane. And once you lose all 3 lanes, that allows the other team to snowball out of control. And then it just comes to the point, like 10, 15 minutes, like, all right, I want to do something, but I actually can't do anything because we're so far behind.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, guys, that was game 1. Once again, Arrow takes it. They lead this series. The upper bracket, actually finals, I guess. I keep wanting to call it round 1, but technically it is the upper bracket finals. Winner of this secures themselves a seat in Seattle, regardless of anything else. It'll be all up to the lower bracket, and then, of course, the grand finals to figure out who's going directly into the bracket of 16 and who will have to fight through all of the other second-place qualifiers. So MVP, even though they do have a loss to give, certainly this is their chance to sneak one if they can tie the series up and force a Game 3. I'm AC, this is Fog, and of course Fear and Base Skip. We'll all be back to bring you Game 2 of Arrow versus MVP coming up next. Stick with us. This is the NA Hub coverage of TI4 presented by Monster Energy.